Hello and welcome to Silver Stitches. Today I'm going to be going over make your own Quackers the Duck. This one here was made with plush yarn. Today I'm going to make one just using 4-ply, so you'll be able to see exactly the difference even though I'm using the same pattern. So today you're going to need a ball of yarn, a crochet hook, you'll need some embroidery thread or some safety eyes. I recommend if you're making the duck for a very young child, you use the embroidery thread, although I prefer to use the safety eyes. They are really secure, but for avoidance of any doubt, just use the embroidery thread. You'll need a stitch marker, a darning needle, a pair of scissors, and you'll also need a little bit of stuffing as well. So let's put all of this to one side and let's get started. With all my crochet patterns, I work them with UK crochet terms. However, if you prefer US crochet terms, you'll find them in my pattern and in the description below. So for now, I start my crochet patterns with a magic circle. So pop the tail, I'm just going to move the camera so you can see, there we are. Pop the tail of your yarn over your 4 fingers and wrap it around the index finger and the big finger, creating a cross on the back. Turn your hand over and just hold that in place with your little finger. Take your crochet hook face down, go underneath the first loop, up and over the second loop, pull the second loop under the first, and then twist your crochet hook to make a loop on your hook. You're then going to pop your hook underneath your working yarn and pull that working yarn through the loop. Just like so. And there you have your magic circle. So you'll be working your stitches over these double threads rather than this single one. To start off with Quackers, we are going to do 8 double crochet. To do a double crochet, you insert your hook into the magic circle, you pop your yarn over your hook, pull it back out of the circle so you've got 2 loops on your hook. You then put the yarn over and pull through both of those loops like that. So that's 1 double crochet. Do the same again in the circle, yarn over, out, yarn over and through. That's 2. You can keep going until you've got 8. So that's 3 and 4 and 5. If you find your tail getting a little bit short like it is here, just give that a little tug and it will make it a little bit longer. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7 and 8. I do remember the beginning part of any crochet pattern is the hardest because there's nothing substantial for you to hold on to. It's quite tricky, but please persevere. It is worth it. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to close our magic circle. So you grab the tail and you simply pull. And you pull it tight as you can to make sure there's no hole in the middle. You can see there's still a little hole there. Just push the stitches apart and pull that magic circle's tail again. Pull it nice and tight until there's no hole in the middle. Hopefully you can see that there. Right, and it now says we want 8 increasing. So an increasing double crochet simply means we do 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So in what we do, we insert our crochet hook under both loops of the first stitch, just like that. Hopefully you can see that there. You pop your yarn over, pull it through those 2 loops. You'll have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2 again. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing into the same stitch. You just insert your crochet hook into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through. So that's your first increase. We do the same in the second stitch by doing 2 double crochets in that same stitch. That's your second increase. Now into the third stitch. That makes your third increase. Number 4. Oops. Five, 6, 7, finally the last stitch. 1, 2. There we go. So that's our 8 increases. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to loosen off that hook, pull my crochet hook out, and turn my work over because I want to sew in this tail yarn to stop it getting in my way. Grab your darning needle and just thread it with that tail yarn like so. And all you're going to do is simply go under a few of the stitches just like that. Working around. You can do as few or as many of these as you like. Making sure it's pulled nice and tight. I like to skip back over just to make sure it's really secure. Okay, we're then going to just cut this tail yarn. It doesn't have to be really close to your work because this will be the inside of the duck, so the tail will be hidden, but I like to cut it quite short so it doesn't get in my way. Okay, let's flip our work back over, reinsert our hook and just pull that thread to secure the hook onto the wool onto your hook, sorry. Okay, we're on to round 3 and it now says 1 double crochet, 1 increasing times 8. So that means we do 1 double crochet in the first stitch, like so. And I would advise at this point popping in your stitch marker just so you know where to finish. It may feel like you've only got to count up to 8, but believe me, it's really easy to lose count when you're crocheting. So we've done our first double crochet. We now need to do an increase, which is 2 double crochet into this second stitch. And then we repeat. So 1 double crochet, and then 2 in the next one. Oops, just got caught on something. Try that one again. Okay, and repeat again. So in the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and in the following one it's 2. So just keep going until you get to the end where your stitch marker is. Great thing about crochet is it's just very repetitive, so it's makes it easier to pick it up. It means practice makes perfect after all. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook here. You'll find if you're using a smaller crochet hook, obviously your work will end up much smaller. And if you end up losing a larger crochet hook or thicker wool, you end up with a much bigger duck. And you'll see the difference in sizes between this one and the plush one at the end. So here we are on our final stitch. Just going to do 2 double crochets in there to make our final increase. There we go. So take out your stitch marker, and we're now on to row or round number 4. So round number 4 simply says 2 double crochets, then 1 increasing. So we insert our hook into the first stitch to do our first double crochet. Insert your stitch marker so you know where you are, you know where to finish. And we do 1 double crochet in the next, and then our increase stitch in the third. So we're doing 2 double crochets to make that increase. And simply all you need to do now is repeat that all the way around, going 2 double crochets, then an increase, 2 double crochets, then an increase, all the way around until you get back to your stitch marker. So pause the video and come back once you've done that. Okay, here we are back at the end of round 4. So remove that stitch marker again. And the next rounds, 5, 6, 7 and 8 are all exactly the same, and they're very straightforward. All you're doing is 32 double crochets all the way around. So 1 double crochet in every single stitch. So again, you'll insert your hook under both of those loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through those 2. Insert your stitch marker, and then continue that all the way around, those double crochets all the way around. So you're going to do that for rows 5, 6 and 7 and 8, and when you've done that, come back here. What I would say before you go is don't be surprised if your work starts to curl up, and if it does, you can just curl it back the other way, whichever way you find easier, because what we're doing at the moment is we're making the bowl of the body. So I'll see you back here in just a moment. Okay, so here we are back at the end of round number 8. If you find your work has done that, instead just simply turn it round the right way, like so. Let's remove that stitch marker. Oops. Yeah. And we continue our round now with round number 9. Now round number 9 says 10 double crochet. So we, into our next stitch, do our first double crochet, like so. Insert that stitch marker so you know where you are. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And now we're doing 1 double crochet, 1 decrease times 4. So we do our 1 double crochet. Now to decrease, my thread's just been caught funny, I'm just going to redo that stitch. Right, so that's me redoing my 1 double crochet. And now a decrease. Okay, so to decrease, you insert your hook as you would normally, yarn over and pull through as you would normally with your 2 loops on your hook. Insert into the next stitch as well, yarn over and pull through, so you now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, like so, and that is a decrease. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now be careful here because you look a long way back from this stitch, but you've done your decrease in this stitch. So make sure it's the next stitch you do your double crochet into and then a decrease. That's twice now, and we're going to do another one and a decrease. Now 3 times. So one last time we're going to do 1 double crochet and 1 decrease. There we go, just like so. Pull off some more yarn, and then to finish up this round it should be 10 double crochets. So as before, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and finally 10, and you should be back to your stitch marker. So moving on to round number 10, take out that stitch marker. It's 10 double crochet, so let's do our first double crochet and insert our stitch marker. So that's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and finally 10. Now we're just going to do 4 decrease. We're going to do them in the same way as before. So insert that hook, yarn over and pull through, insert it into the next one, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and through all 3. So that's 1 decrease. Same again. 2, and same again. 3, 1 more decrease, that's 4, and then we're going to do our 10 double crochets, which would get us back to our stitch marker. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and finally number 10. So let's remove that stitch marker. Like so. We're now going to stuff our body and we're going to close. So let's get our stuffing. You shouldn't need too much, depends on the size of the hook that you've got there. You can make him as firm or as squishy as you like. Okay, so here we are having stuffed our body. And what we're going to do is we're now going to close the back half of our body to form our tail. And we're going to do that by inserting our crochet hook into the first and last stitch. So if I just show you with a needle here, we're going to go into this stitch, which is the first stitch, and then into our last stitch as well. So this is the first and last stitch, just like that. And we're going to close it like that. So we're doing, first of all, a half treble crochet. Do a half treble crochet, you pop your yarn over, we're going into that first stitch, like so, and into our last stitch, like so, yarn over and pull it through both of those stitches. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Now in the next stitch, we're going to go into the next one. We're going to be doing a double crochet in the next one, in the next one, and the last unused one, which is this one. Yarn over and pull through 2. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. Now for the next one, we're going to join with a slip stitch. So we go into the next stitch and into the last unused stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 and pull through the loop on the hook. So we're going to do 5 more of those slip stitches. Yarn, hook through both of the stitches, yarn over and pull through everything. 2, that's 3, 4, 5, 1 more, 3 there, 2, that's 6. So if I just pull that loose, what you should be left with is something a little bit like this. And you can see here, this is the tail, and this is where the head's going to come up here. And we should have left 8 stitches, and you should be able to count those simply by counting the V's. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, I miscounted then, because I counted that one that we're already in, I think. Yeah, I counted that last one, which is we've already used. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so moving on then, we're now moving on to the head, and we're going to be using front loop only. And we're going to be double crocheting into our front, double crocheting increase into our front loop only. Now when I say front loop only, you'll see each stitch is made up of 2 loops. Hopefully you can see that there. And we're going to be working by putting our crochet hook just through that front loop there. Okay, so I'll try and show you as clearly as I can. We're going to be doing front loop only, increased double crocheting. And so that means we're going to go up through that front loop there, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to do the same thing again in that same front loop, just like so. And now same again in the next one. We're going to do this 8 times. And always using just that front loop. Oops, I only did one stitch in that. Right, that last stitch had split a bit. Okay, so that is my 8th stitch increase. I'm just going to double check and count my stitches. Oop, no, I've missed one. I've missed my last stitch. I need to do that. You can see it's really easy to lose count when crocheting. Okay, so what you should be left with is like a little collar almost. You can see that forming the base of the head. So for round 12, we're going to do 1 double crochet, 1 increasing into these stitches around where we've made our head. Just so 1 double crochet into here, like so, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet increase into the next one. So we'll be doing 2 stitches into here. That's 1, and that's 2, and then 1 in the next one, and 2 in the next. And you're going to continue that round until you've done 8 of those and you get back to here. Once you've done that, I'll see you back here. Okay, so here I am back at the beginning. And what we're going to do now, hopefully you've got your head starting to form, is we're going to be doing rows 13, 14, 15 and 16 are all simple double crochets all the way around. So you're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch, like so. You're going to pop that stitch marker in place so you know where you're finishing, and then double crochet into each stitch all the way around the head. Okay, so do that. When you've done all of those rows, I'll see you back here when you've completed row 16. You might find it easier to mark it off on a piece of paper the number of rows you've done, because again, it's easy to lose count. I'll see you back here when you're at the end of row 16. Okay, so here we are at the end of row 16, and you'll hopefully have something that's looking a little bit like this. You'll see I've removed my crochet hook, because now if you're using safety eyes, we need to place our safety eyes around about row 15. So I'm going to use safety eyes today. If you're embroidering eyes, you'll just embroider them on at the very end. Okay, so we know we've just done round 16, so we know this is round 15, and we're going to insert our eyes here. Make sure you're doing it at the front of the head. I know that sounds obvious, but it's been done. People have put it on the wrong side. and we kind of want them 5 stitches apart, but obviously we want them fairly central. So I tend to squeeze my head together to find my center point, which is here, and then I count back 2 and pop 1 in there. 1, 2, 4, 5, maybe a little bit further over. 1 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop it in there. Okay, so we have a look. Make sure it's fairly central, like so. And once you're happy with where the eyes are, you just pop the backs on. So you put the backs on face with the widest part of the back closest to the yarn, and if you listen, it should click when you push them on. What I'll try and do is I'll put this one up near my microphone and hopefully you might hear it click. It's quite a nice loud click. And you should have your 2 eyes looking just like that. So for round 17, what we're going to do, we're going to insert our hook, pull that yarn back tight again, and we're going to do 1 double crochet, like so. And then 1 decrease. So I'm going to pop my stitch marker back in, just so I know where I'm finishing. And then we do our decrease. Now to do our decrease, we insert, oops, there we are. We insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, insert our hook again, yarn over, pull through, then yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's 1 double crochet, like that, and then 1 decrease. So and you're going to repeat that all the way around so you get back to your stitch marker. And when you've done that, I'll see you back here to show you how to finish off.